Oh, this was something that the WWE announced on social media during the show that Raw will be going to 2 hours starting on October 7th until they debut on Netflix in January. And there were a lot of reactions to this. I would say mostly not good reactions. I think the biggest question is because I am not I'm not a fan of this either. But I think the biggest question of all is there was no explanation given as to why this was happening. That I think is what makes it that much more confusing. Is like we weren't told why they were going down to 2 hours, and so there's a lot of speculation about what that could mean. If it's maybe preparing for Netflix, but then there was news that came out this morning saying no, when Raw goes to Netflix, it's going to be 3 hours. So it's really weird, but
It
I
has to
think
do with money.
I
That's initially my gut telling me
but what
this
about
has
the
to do with
money?
money. It has to do with some sort of programming or whatnot with the networks and not a WWE problem because it's so out of pocket for them to just randomly do it. And I haven't seen anything yet if they're going to or if they're not going to go back to 3 hours,
That's what I
once
just
this is
said.
all. No, I'm saying I
Oh,
know.
I'm just
That's
telling
what,
you, I think it was Pro Wrestling
no, no, no.
Insider that said that they are going back to 3 hours.
Yeah, doesn't matter if it is or is not, is my point. What this is going to show us is how jam packed these shows are going to be with the talent that they have. Like, that's what's to me is going to be interesting.
See, but my problem is that that means a lot of people are going to be off TV every week. And I think that's an issue because I mentioned this on Twitter and people were coming back and being like, well, that just means that you need to try harder to get on TV. And I'm like, but no, that's not a thing though, because there are plenty of people who should be on television that aren't. And it's not because they're not good or they're not, fans don't care about them or something. It's like, yeah, they only have so much time to put so many people on TV. And so people are inevitably going to be left off. But that's happening with 3 hours already.
Yeah.
Imagine what's going to happen when they cut an entire hour. That means even more people are going to be cut. So it's like that is a concern for me because I think the whole point of them going to 3 hours when they did was because they were starting to have rosters that were packed with so much talent that they needed to have an extra hour so that they could feature more people. And that was how many years ago? It's even worse now. Like there's so many more
There's so
people
much more
on that
talent.
Raw roster, because
But
if
it's,
you even look at the Raw roster
yeah,
compared to SmackDown, obviously Raw is more packed than SmackDown because SmackDown's 2 hours, Raw's 3. So now it's like, now what are they going to do, and how are they going to bring up people from NXT? Like, what is that going to do? I mean, granted, from what we know, this is only going on until they debut on Netflix. I mean, that's as far as what they're saying, at least right now. But
mhm.
what if it is that it stays at 2 hours when they go to Netflix? Like, to me, this is just
That's,
creating more problems. But
but here's the thing: every wrestling show right now is 2 hours. Even 2 out of the 3 shows under the WWE umbrella are 2 hours. If you look at the competition, TNA is 2 hours, AEW is 2 hours. Like all wrestling shows are 2 hours. So maybe this has to do with more of the network pushing it rather than WWE.
I just don't know why the network would be doing that when they've been having 3 hour Raws for years. So why now all of a sudden? That's what I'm saying. Like the contract is expiring at the end of the year. Why are you doing it now? Like what's so significant about, the final
Network
2-3
because
months?
networks. So USA last 3 months, right? October. They definitely have deals cooking that have to do with major sports that are throwing way more money at them.
I don't know. We'll see.
That is my.
I see that there are some people that are excited
There you go.
about it. Like Mr. Anderson is happy about it going back to 2 hours. And I've seen people saying this. Um And I understand the argument to an extent because, yeah, a lot of the time when it is 3 hours, there are segments that it's like, why did that happen? Or why did that match happen? Like there's going to be like a ton of commercials to fill the 3 hours. But we know that commercials are going to still be a part of Raw when it moves to Netflix, but they're not going to have like 6-minute commercials the way that they do now on TV
Yeah.
because they don't have to. And they can also focus the commercials around, yeah, some advertisers, but they're probably going to be mostly around promoting their own stuff. So
Oh yeah, it's gonna be exactly what you see on Peacock already.
yeah,
Their
so like
PLEs.
it cutting it down to like 2 hours in that type of format, okay, that makes more sense. But there was also, I think it was PWI that said it, that they're going to be going back to 3. However, they're going to be able to be more flexible with like every episode because like yeah,
Yeah.
maybe this week it's 2.5 hours and next week is 3. I think they just have to be careful because I I mean, I guess it would depend, but like if you bought a ticket to Raw between October 7th and January whatever, you were expecting a 3-hour show, I assume. Wouldn't they kind of be upset? There's going to be people who are upset about that.